Hello, everyone. I'm not gonna be all. Really? What are you barking at? Nothing. Yeah, shut up. My dogs. I'm gonna be I'm not gonna be all cordial about this because the wife says maybe you ought to, just be yourself and not try to be so. What's the word I'm looking for? Uh, I don't know. I don't want to be stiff. I want to be myself, but I don't want to be so over the top that it's all about me making fun of stuff, because I'm gonna do that anyway, because that's just what I do. But anyway, so I came outside here to give some updates on some things. I'm gonna walk back in here because the lighting outside it's very dismal outside today. But anyway, so uh, the well, I'll say this first. I appreciate everybody that has subscribed to the channel, and I thank you for you know jumping on board, jumping on the ship, the Big C ship. Yeah, I know. Those of you who know what that means, because there's people who don't actually know my real name, and they just know me as Big C. So appreciate you jumping on the Big C ship. We'll try to. I'll try to make sure that this ship is always a fun ride. You know, it'll never be the same. I don't. I don't really get off on just talking about the same old thing all the time, because you know what? The world is a complicated place, and you know, I don't think I'll talk about any kind of politics unless something just irks me to the point that I just can't get past it. I don't think that'll be the case, but you never know. You just never know. So, that being said, I'm happy that I've hit 50 subscribers, and I'm like, all right, 50 subscribers. I mean, this ain't a big deal. I mean, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. I'm just kind of winging this. This is not a big thing. You know, I'm a regular guy. I work every day. I do my little thing on the side. Try to have a little fun with it. And granted, I'll get into the people ruining my fun. I'll get into that in a second here, because there's some things I need to mention, and that's gonna probably drag out the way this channel goes. Me fixing things that I probably should have gotten better advice, and maybe somebody didn't muck it up, and I had to fix it. Go back behind them and fix it. That's a lot of that, but when you buy something, that's what you get. But once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining the Big C channel, the number one hitman, Big C Speed Shop. Basically, it's just my garage against the world. Now, granted, I don't go out and race or anything. At least not yet. Maybe I'll get there. Give me about 10, 15 years. Maybe I'll get to that point. But right now, I'm not interested in going racing. I like to go watch, but that takes a little bit more money than what I'm willing to shell out at this point, and a little bit more time than what I've got to throw at it. I don't have that kind of time. So anyway, we got Little Red over here. Y'all remember Little Red? 93 Fox body. It was originally Performance Red. You know, the orange looking reddish color. Yeah, well, I primered it yellow, called it Vanilla Ice. Hence the vanilla-ish color that it is. So vanilla ice. Yeah. So Vanilla's engine's got to come back out. We ain't gonna delve real deep off into that, but I'll say this. This was my first attempt at building a non-stock motor, which is, it's not a short block that's got a stock crank in it. Stock rods, stock pistons. Just something you basically took the top end off and then you bolted on some heads, an intake, maybe threw a cam in it, that kind of thing. So no, this was a from the ground up kind of thing. Asked a lot of questions, did a lot of research, thought I received a plethora of good advice, even called the manufacturers. Now granted, this build is not new. It took me a while to gather up parts because, once again, I'm a working man. See this blue collar? Yeah, blue collar and yeah, raising kids and that kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. So it's a timeline build. Yeah. So it took me a while to amass a few parts. I came up with a formula and an idea that I wanted to put into reality. So I started to throw money at it. Now, as far as I started cheap, I lowered it. First thing you can do, cheapest thing you do to Fox body is lower it. Put some lowering springs on it. Next thing was exhaust. Just bolt on things, underdrive pulleys. A bigger throttle body. Just little nickel and dime stuff you can do to it. And granted, it ain't going to make it that much faster, but it's just the idea of you out there turning a wrench on your own car, and you pay for your own parts, you're putting them on, and you feel good about it when you're putting them on. You're like, yeah, I put this on. And somebody asked, what's the first thing you do? You start talking about what you done. Well, I did this and I did that, and it's got brand new headlights, and brand new taillights, and brand new this, and brand new that. Put another different set of seats in it. I took the back seats out of it. It's got a front sway bar, a rear sway bar. It's got the stiffest springs that Ford Racing makes. I managed to get that done. I got a Panhard bar coming, blah, 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 blah. The idea of the car was I can't afford 93 Cobra R. And even if I could, people ain't going to like it because what I want to do with it was take it racing. And that's what the car was made for. Well, the majority of the people that bought them didn't. You had one cat put 4 of them in a garage and cover them with plastic. They had less than 2,000 or 3,000 miles on them and sold them for $140,000 a piece. I mean, that's great. If I had that kind of money to buy the car, I'm gonna drive it because it's a car. I can't take it to the grave. I mean, there's plenty of dudes been buried in their car, but why would you do that? And clearly the cars they were buried in were mediocre. One guy was buried in his Cadillac DeVille. Wow, how many did they make of those? Okay, you're not gonna be buried in your '93 Cobra R or your 2000 Cobra R. You're not gonna put that car in the ground. That's dumb. But aside from that, I decided I would take the platform that Ford came up with, Fox platform, and I would throw my ideas at it. No, it's not a clone. A clone is a copy of something that was a production car. Now, when people say that, we'll get into that a little bit more deeply another time. But you know how people, they say, well, it's a fake snake. Fake this, fake that. Well, just because it ain't got Ford's stamp on it, I mean, my pops always said, the idea of an automobile, when you get it, and it's not just a cookie cutter, like a pickup truck or something you just drive and it's just utilitarian. You buy a performance car, you buy a Camaro, a Mustang, a Corvette. That's their idea of a performance car. And so You can either leave it the way it is. If you're cool with that, hey, it makes 300 horsepower. I'm okay with that. I'm just this is enough for me. I don't want to scare myself. Okay, if you're that guy, you're fine with that. You're fine with just buying it off the showroom floor and just driving it until you want to trade it in. I'm not that guy. Neither was my dad. And most of the people I know aren't those guys. You don't just buy it and leave it the way it is. Because number one, it's going to get boring. Boring. You can only go so fast. Stoplight to stoplight or on the highway, and you're going to get spanked by a 350 or 370 because it's just not making enough power. So, you upgrade. Hence, the idea I came up with. So, I said, well, you know what? I'd like to have a 93 Cobra R. But there's some things about it that I liked, and there's some things about it I didn't like. Because, see, you got a team of people thinking about this car, and they're coming up with ideas they think that I would buy, that I would pay for. That's how they get you. That's how the Dodge boys have got everybody all in an uproar because they stole ideas from us Ford guys, because you know what? None of their products were supercharged. None of them. They are now. They got the same motor and everything. That's another discussion, though, isn't it? Anyway, so they've got smart. The car companies got smart. They say, you know what? We need to hire some hot rodders because we'll sell more cars if we've got at least 2 or 3 of their ideas on one car, and we'll suck in some of those hot rodders. They'll think those ideas are cool and they'll buy one of those cars. And granted, it's a starting point. That's all it is. It's a starting point. If you like riding around in your Mustang 5.0 and you're fine with it just the way it is, hey, that's great. Most of us see a different car. We see a starting point. Same thing with Camaros. You buy your Camaro SS or your 1LE or whatever the heck you're going to buy, it's a starting point. Now, granted, I'm not knocking any of the Chevrolet cars because that Camaro 1LE, that's a badass car. It's badass off the showroom floor. It's got big wheels on it. It's got fat rubber. It sits low. It's got a 6-speed in it. It growls good. It's powerful. It's got the magnetic shocks on it. It's set up for a track. Not necessarily drag racing, but remember, there's more racing than just going in a straight line for 5 or 6 seconds. Okay, that gets a little monotonous unless you can do 3 seconds, and then you gotta have plenty of money for that. But that's another discussion on that one as well. Back to what I'm saying. So you take the platform you're gonna work with, whatever that is. It's a starting point. You take that starting point and you expand on it. Now, granted, all of us ain't got oodles of money. You buy the best shocks. You buy the best tires. You buy a decent set of rims. I mean, let's be realistic. The SEMA market is $1 billion industry. So there's any number set of wheels, or you can have a custom set made. Buy some wheels, body kit, spoilers, aero equipment, fiberglass hood, fiberglass fenders, fiberglass door panels. It's just that the market for this car is so wide open. That's why it's the 55 Chevy of our time. So I decided to come put an idea. It's fairly cheap. When I bought it, I paid $2,200 for that car, and it ran. Yeah, it was a running car. The only thing that was wrong with it was it needed a steering rack. I drove it around for 5 years. I put some wheels on it, lowered it, drove it around. I had people jump on me in Hondas and whatnot, and that little 225, it's still peppy. It ain't stomping and it burned the tires off. No, it won't do that, but You know, car's 25 years old. There ain't no Hondas outrunning it. I ain't never lost to no Honda in it. I had a dude jump on me on the bypass, which if you live here, there's a bypass, and people like to, you know, do speed contests, jump on you, that kind of thing. Anyway, I surprised him because I was just tooling along about 60 miles an hour, and he rolls up on me, and I looked over at him and I was like, gave him the nod, go ahead. He went ahead. He wasn't going anywhere, but he went ahead. Go ahead, man. And he didn't go anywhere, and I just put the pedal on the floor, and I drove off. In my little 225 horsepower 5.0. No big deal. Fast forward. It ain't 225 horsepower anymore. No. I dare say it's more closer to 400 horsepower. And it's great. But I have problems. We're not going to get into those problems. I'm not going to get into why it has problems. I'm just going to take it apart. And I want to go through it. And I want to fix what's wrong. And we'll put it back together. And we'll move on. Because sometimes it just ain't even worth addressing. I mean, pointing fingers, in the end, it's on me. It doesn't matter who said what, who told me what, gave me what advice, that's irrelevant. The end result is, it ain't moving. That's my problem. Placing the blame or whatever, I have decided from this point on that I've got plenty of information in books, magazines, all of that, and a few choice people that I know who know things that I don't, that I'll be conversing with, and we'll get it right. Yeah. Moving on. The machine over there. The machine. Yeah. The big sister over here, she's a work in progress. The machine. All right, I gave the machine to my son, and I haven't driven it a whole lot. I ain't been driving it a whole lot. It gets driven maybe once every 2 weeks. I put a lot of work into the machine over years. Car's over 20 years old. So, it's got some problems. Jax. Can I help you, Jax? Yeah. Okay. Machine got some problems. Gave it to him. He drove it 3 days. Popped a fuse. It's a normal thing, obviously. 20 years of driving it, never had a problem. So, brought it back here. I wanna do some things to it, fix it. I'm gonna replace some other stuff on it because I want it to be reliable, because he's not used to working on that car. So, I'm gonna tighten up a few things, and I'm gonna give it back to him. But people was like, I can't believe you got rid of that. Well, I actually didn't get rid of it because, as you can see, its home is always here. She ain't going nowhere. She's in different hands, but she still remains in the family. And that was the goal. The goal was that fathers don't withhold every car they own, okay? I got 3 cars left. I got Pop's car, which is behind me in pieces. I got Little Red, which is in front of me. Big Sister's over here on the side of the house. And if I wasn't going to let him have the machine, it would be sitting right where it's sitting. And It ain't getting driven that way. And you get animals want to crawl up in it, eat on the wires and all that, and that's not, and this ain't got an engine in it. The big sister don't. So I'm not really concerned. And the wiring harness in it is so small, I'm just gonna pull it out and replace it. Not a big deal. So ain't no rats crawling up in there. I check it all the time to make sure ain't no bugs making homes in it and all that kind of junk. But the point is, you fix it, you let one of the kids have it. And the thing is that it's not like it's a desirable car. I mean, he's a man child. He wants the car. It ain't like a girl and you're like, here, I'm gonna let you have my car, and she's like, well, it's not cute, Dad. It's just not cute. Okay. Do you have a car? No, but I'd like to have something that's cute. It's a Mustang. What's not cute about it? I mean, it's lowered. It's got fat rubber on it. It's got custom wheels. I mean, it sits low. It's loud. It's manual. I mean, what? Oh, okay. It's not cute. Boy, Dad, when you gonna let me have the car? I said the same thing to my dad. Hey, when you gonna let me have the car? This was the conversation that he said. Why would I give you my car when I like it? That makes sense. Oh, okay. So you're not gonna let me have it? No. Oh. Well, can I buy it from you? No. Oh. So what do I do? Go get your own. Oh. Okay. Don't matter which way I go. Does go whichever way you want to go. Okay. I don't really care for Chevrolet. I don't like Dodge either. I don't dislike them to the point where I would never buy one. I just don't like them design-wise. I don't like them motor-wise. Chevrolet's not bad. Now, if it was my choice between Chevrolet and Ford, it'd be either one of them. But I didn't luck up on Chevrolet, and I had bad luck with Chevrolet, so I went the other way. I've never really had bad luck. I've never blown up a Ford engine. As many as I've had, and I've had a lot, I've never blown them up. Didn't have that kind of luck with Chevrolet. Not saying that I won't go again, but I got his car, which is not a Chevrolet. It's a Pontiac. It's all Pontiac. So that's going to be a different animal. But that's another conversation. Still, so I gave him a machine, and we're going to see what kind of journey he has with that. I had a pretty decent journey with it. I mean, put a motor in it. I mean, wanted one since it came out. Granted, 1998. It's old. It's obsolete. I mean, yeah, you could probably put a Coyote motor in it, but just bare bones. It's got a double overhead cam 32 valve in it. The bottom end is not stock. Only thing stock on it is the heads and the intake. That's it. The rest of it, aftermarket. I'm telling you that because it is irrelevant at this point. Yeah, it has potential, but I don't see him throwing a turbo on it or twin turbos or a supercharger. I see him driving it just the way it is, just like I did. The potential was there. I built it with the potential that if I wanted to boost it or add anything to it, I could. But I did notice that everybody that was doing it, the car wasn't reliable. I've been driving that same car for 20 years, just the way it is. And it's quick. I surprised a few Hellcats. Oh, it's just an old car. When I dropped it down in the second, and I put a car and a half on them, yeah, they wasn't expecting that. Of course, I wasn't either. I mean, it's 305. It might be a little bit more than that. Not really sure. Never had it dynoed because it's stock. Stock bore. Stock heads. Stock cams. Stock. kinda. Anyway, we'll see what kind of journey he has with it. And we'll start a new journey with Little Red over here. Not that I haven't had plenty of journeys with fox bodies before, but I've had 6, 7 of them. This one's gonna be a little different. Most of the ones I've had were stock, bolt-on parts. This one's from the ground up. Suspension, tires, transmission, all that. It's roll cage, and not a drag race roll cage. It'll have a what do you call that? SCCA kind of road cage, like you can go road racing or autocrossing. It'll have an autocross kind of cage in it, just because I want to drive it on the street. So it'll be a street-driven car that I can drive to a autocross event or something like that, have fun with it, and drive back home. That's the goal. That's the goal with that car. Big sister, I just want to drive it. Just put a motor in it and drive it. Nothing radical. Just a old dude get in his car, crank it up, ride down the road, wave at people. How you doing? I see ya. Get the thumbs up, because when people see old cars, they give you a thumbs up. I guess that means, hey, you kept it on the road. Yeah, it's still rolling. So, the adventures continue. Anyway, I think I'm done with this update. So, once again, I appreciate everybody hopping on the channel. We're trying to keep this fresh and funny, We'll pick on some people. It's all fun. I mean, come on. At any given point, any of this stuff is junk. It is. You blow it up, it's just junk. No matter what it is. It's all fun. It's all for fun. That's all it is. You throw your money at it, have fun with it. I gotta go out here and get started on this. Figure out what's wrong with it. But I'm gonna get back to y'all. Stay tuned. Same big channel. Was that Bat Channel? I had to come up with something catchy to say. Maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, I'll catch y'all another time. Keep it between the ditches, because I drive a tow truck and I see some bad driving. Watch yourselves. Watch it. Later.